Do you believe a dog could overturn a murder case that seemed completely closed? In the city of Boise, Idaho, 52-year-old police lieutenant Marcus Riley and his K-9 partner Rex thought they were just assisting with a routine hearing related to the death of 61-year-old geriatric physician Dr. Stephen Granger. But in a courtroom packed with onlookers, Rex suddenly sprang to his feet, eyes locked onto one woman, the victim's wife. No one knew why, not even Marcus. Yet, from that moment on, everything began to shift in a direction no one could have predicted. What do you think made Rex react that way? If you're curious about what lies behind Rex's piercing gaze, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next chapter, where animal instinct uncovers the truth humans tried to bury. He'd never disobeyed a single command in 8 years, until now. As soon as Officer Marcus Riley stepped into the courtroom, Rex, his 5-year-old Belgian Malinois, became different. The dog's body stiffened, ears forward, gaze locked with unnerving precision on the second row. The tension in the leash pulsed like static in the air. Marcus followed his partner's line of sight. There she was. Margaret Granger, 58, elegantly dressed in navy with a silk scarf draped over her shoulders, calmly touched the delicate silver cross resting at her collarbone. Rex let out a low, guttural growl. The sound cut through the murmuring crowd like a scalpel. Every eye turned toward the dog. Marcus gave a sharp command. "Rex, down!" But to his shock, Rex didn't budge. Not right away. The presiding judge, a stern woman in her 70s named Gloria Hastings, banged her gavel. "Control your animal, Officer Riley, or I'll have you both removed." Marcus felt the heat rise to his face. Rex wasn't reacting to stress. He wasn't distracted, he was alerting. But to what? Margaret's necklace, her presence, something no human in the room could detect. It was a silent alarm, a signal from instinct itself. Marcus's gut told him what years of police training had buried. You don't ignore a dog's warning. Especially not Rex's, and at that moment, in the dead stillness of the courtroom, Marcus knew this case was far from over. Rex wasn't guessing, he was remembering. Later that evening, Marcus sat in the dim glow of his kitchen, the case file spread across the table, coffee gone cold beside him. Rex lay by the door, eyes wide open, ears twitching with every sound, still visibly unsettled. That wasn't just a courtroom reaction, Marcus thought. Something about Margaret Granger had stuck with him, something from the night of the murder, something only Rex could recall. 5 years of working together had taught Marcus one hard truth. A dog doesn't forget scent, not even after months. They remember fear, blood, adrenaline, and deception. Not the kind humans show on their faces, but the kind they try to bury deep. Rex had been at the crime scene the night Dr. Stephen Granger was found dead. The call had come in during a torrential rainstorm. A neighbor reported screams, but by the time units arrived, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Marcus had deployed Rex for a sweep. The dog had alerted near the fireplace and again in the hallway. But nothing ever came of it. The coroner ruled it a home invasion gone wrong. But now, staring at Margaret's photo, the calmness, the perfect composure, Marcus began to feel the pull of something Rex had sensed all along. Maybe the scent on her scarf, her perfume? Or maybe it was the lie itself. And now, weeks later, Rex had seen her again. He didn't forget. Not then. It looked like a cross, but what it held could destroy everything. By the time dawn broke over Boise, Marcus Riley couldn't shake the feeling. He drove straight to the precinct, bypassed his own desk, and went straight to evidence. With the captain's reluctant blessing, he and Rex were granted access to materials recovered from the Granger crime scene, items that had been dismissed, archived, overlooked. The moment Rex entered the storage room, he stiffened. His head snapped toward a sealed plastic bag on the middle shelf. Inside, among old receipts and office documents from the victim's home, sat a collection of personal effects from Margaret's study. One of them, labeled simply, Jewelry, Miscellaneous. Marcus removed the bag, placed it on the ground, and gave Rex his cue. The dog didn't hesitate. He circled the bag, then sat down, tail straight, ears alert, his clear, trained signal for evidence. Marcus's hands trembled as he pulled out the delicate silver cross, the same one Margaret wore in court. But it wasn't just jewelry. Turning it over in the light, he spotted a tiny seam, almost invisible unless you knew what to look for. A hidden compartment. Heart pounding, Marcus pried it open. Inside, a micro USB drive, unmarked, untouched, unknown. Rex had sensed it all along. Not because it smelled of metal or perfume, but because it held something far more dangerous, truth. Now Marcus had to decide, present it, and challenge everything, or walk away, knowing a dog just uncovered what no human ever could. She framed her own husband and wore the evidence around her neck. Marcus stared at the tiny USB drive lying in his palm. Something about it felt colder than metal, like the weight of betrayal itself. He turned to Rex, who sat calmly now, tail sweeping the floor in slow, deliberate strokes. His job was done. He had found the truth. Back at the lab, digital forensics began combing through the contents. Within minutes, the files revealed something darker than Marcus had dared imagine. Hidden in that dainty silver cross were spreadsheets detailing fraudulent billing practices that spanned 5 years. Insurance scams, fake procedure codes, inflated claims, all under Margaret Granger's control. But it got worse. One folder was marked Backup Stephen. Inside was a video recording, grainy but clear enough. Dr. Stephen Granger sat at his home desk, speaking directly to someone off camera. "If this gets out," he said, "I'll lose everything, but I won't be part of this anymore, Margaret." That name hit Marcus like a punch to the chest. In the next frame, Margaret appeared, calm, composed, cold. "You'd throw me to the wolves, Stephen?" she asked, stepping into view. He nodded grimly. The footage cut, then resumed later. It was nighttime now, the lighting dim. Margaret entered again, wearing gloves, and holding the crystal award that later became the murder weapon. The moment the screen faded to black, Marcus exhaled, as if he'd been holding his breath for days. She didn't just orchestrate the fraud, she silenced the one man who tried to stop it. And to protect herself, she framed the husband who had trusted her most. All her moves were calculated, until one bark exposed it all. Marcus knew he couldn't sit on this. By the next morning, he was standing before Ada Karen Mitchell, the USB in one hand and Rex steady at his side. As she watched the video footage, her face went pale. "You're telling me this entire case hinged on a dog's reaction in court?" she asked, stunned. "No," Marcus replied, voice low. "It hinged on someone finally listening to him." That afternoon, Margaret Granger was called back into court under the pretense of supplemental testimony. As she walked in, every eye followed her, and so did Rex's. He didn't bark this time. He didn't have to. He sat still, his gaze fixed, silent but louder than any alarm. Marcus noticed the flicker in her eyes the moment she saw the empty space on her neckline, her cross necklace, now bagged and tagged. Her mask cracked. For the first time, she looked afraid. When Ada Mitchell presented the evidence and played the recording, the courtroom went completely silent. Not a breath, not a shuffle. Just the sound of betrayal echoing from the speakers. Margaret's composure shattered. Her hands shook. And when her husband, Thomas Granger, stunned and pale, turned to look at her, all she could do was whisper, "I never thought they'd find it." But they did. Or rather, he did. And that's when the gallery realized it wasn't a detective, a lawyer, or a judge who cracked this case. It was a dog. In the end, it wasn't justice that found the truth, it was trust. As Margaret Granger was led away in handcuffs, the courtroom remained frozen in stunned silence. The reporters, the jurors, even the judge, all caught in a moment where something ancient and human stirred beneath the surface. Awe. Not for the legal system, not for the video evidence, but for the dog. Rex stood beside Marcus, calm, composed, as if he knew exactly what he had done. And maybe, in some deeper way, he did. Officer Marcus Riley would later say he didn't solve the case. He just listened. While seasoned detectives followed procedure and the court focused on logic, it was Rex's instinct that cracked open a lie hidden beneath layers of charm and deception. A lie so carefully constructed, it took a creature with no ego, no bias, and no reason to doubt the truth to unravel it. In the weeks that followed, Rex received a commendation from the state, a plaque from the department, and more biscuits than he could ever finish. But none of that mattered to Marcus. What mattered was this. He had trusted his partner when no one else did. He had followed the quiet language of body tension, eye contact, and stillness, the unspoken signs forged through years of side-by-side service. And that trust didn't just bring justice. It saved an innocent man's life. This story reminds us that truth often hides beneath the surface, and sometimes the ones who reveal it aren't the loudest or most educated, but the most observant and loyal. In a world where appearances and polished words can mislead, it's instinct, trust, and quiet persistence that lead us to what's real. Like Officer Riley and Rex, we must learn to listen, truly listen, to what's beyond words. Whether it's a gut feeling, a loved one's subtle change in tone, or a moment that just doesn't feel right. Wisdom comes not from knowing everything, but from paying attention when it matters most.